Hi CMH friends, I am Ramona Williams, the Alexander Specialist for the Children's Museum, Houston. I hope you're having a fabulous day. Thank you for joining us for another Educator's Moment. Today I'm going to take you through 2 quick and easy prep activities that you can do at home with your toddler that will work on fine motor skills such as reaching, grasping, and manipulating items with their hands. But before we do, I want to thank the Brown Foundation for sponsoring this Educator's Moment. So I'm ready. If you're ready, let's go. So our first activity is called button excavating. And so here are the supplies you will need. Buttons, a container, and you can see that I already have some of our supplies in there. Large spoons that have some type of holes in them, or a strainer or a colander. Also an empty container and supplies from your pantry that could mimic sand. So just so you know, my secret, our secret, these items were in my pantry, but they were expired. So guess what? I'm reusing them. So this activity is super easy to prepare. So what you would like to do is pour all of your sand-like material inside of your container until it's all in there. If you're using different types of material, you might want to take your spoon and stir it up. Stir it all up. Next, what we want to do is put in our buttons. Now I'm putting in all of our buttons inside of the container, and guess what I'm going to do next? I am going to stir so that all of our buttons are hidden. Now, as you can see, I've added in our buttons, and what you want to do now is go in and cover them all up so your toddler can go in and excavate the buttons. And it's okay if they're not completely covered, but cover them as much as possible. And if you need to, you can throw a little bit more flour. I actually have flour, rice, and I think quinoa in here as well. And cover them up so the fun can begin. And they would just shake the spoon into all of the items other than the buttons are on the spoon, or until they're able to see as many buttons as they like, and they take those buttons out, and then they will place the button inside of the container that was empty. You can also count the buttons as you're placing them inside, or you can talk about the color of the button as you place it inside of the jar. I hope you enjoyed that activity. On to our next one. I call this next activity String My Button. So for this activity you will need spaghetti, Play-Doh, a plate, and a little secret about the Play-Doh, it's homemade. Maybe I'll do another video on how to make homemade Play-Doh. And you guessed it, buttons that are in our button box. For this activity, you will take a mound of Play-Doh. You can use all 3, or you can just use one. I think the pink is super cute, so I am going to use the pink Play-Doh. And I am going to take my spaghetti that has not been cooked, and I am going to stick spaghetti strings into my Play-Doh. Now, I actually broke the spaghetti strings so that they are shorter, but it's up to you if you want to keep them longer. You actually don't need to cut them, but I just felt like it would make it a little easy for our toddlers. And so our setup is done. Now all you need to do is take your buttons out of your button box, or have your toddler do it, and have them place each button on the spaghetti, like so. And you move over and you do another one. They can go on the same one, they can stack them all up into their full, or they can move on to the next one. You can say, hey, let's put one button on each of our spaghetti strings before we move on to the next one. Or you can say, let's find all of the pink buttons, and then you would put those buttons on your spaghetti string until it's all filled up. So a pro tip, if you are using the buttons from the button excavating activity, you might want to put the plate inside of another container to kind of house and keep some of the sand from getting all over the play area. And also a disclaimer, since we are working with buttons and they can be small, be sure that you're monitoring your toddler. Another option is to clear a space inside of the container and place your Play-Doh inside, and so that way when they are finding buttons to put on the spaghetti, everything stays contained. Okay friends, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's activity.